The Luffy versus Kaido dilemma. So the fight between Luffy and Kaido has been going on for quite an extended period of time. I believe the 1v1 has already been over a year. I haven't really fact checked all of that before checking out, before recording the video, right? But we do know that the rooftop battle happened in January 2021. We're already almost midway through 2022, so this fight has been going on for about a year and a half. The arc as a whole has been going on for about 4 years, and there's still a lot of issues that people have between Luffy versus Kaido. And I want to address some of these issues, if not all of them. If I forget to cover some, do leave some in the comment down below. But let's talk about it, right? One of the first issues that people have with this fight is they don't think that it's long enough. But I do definitely think that this might just be, in most cases, right? Not at all, but I think this might just be a misplacement of words. This fight has definitely been going on long enough in terms of time, in terms of chapter. What I think that people are looking at is they feel like they haven't gotten enough content from both Kaido and Luffy. More so Kaido, because Luffy has already gotten about 3 power-ups for this one specific fight, right? But people don't feel like they've seen enough of Kaido. They don't feel like we need to get his flashback, which I agree on, but that can happen literally at the very last moment, as has happened in some occasions before. And the other issue that people tend to have is the length of this battle. People do still feel like everything, well, this wouldn't be the length, I guess you could say it's the timing more so than anything. People think like the people of Wano are too hopeful, like everything is going well for the Alliance at this point in time for them to win. It doesn't feel like the tensions are high enough, and to be honest, from my standpoint, I see it going either ways, 50-50. The reason why I'm addressing this issue is because even though I can see Luffy winning in the next chapter, and I can see this fight going on for another round, I think many people don't think that this is a realistic option. Many people think that it can't be the end. Many people think that there's no way that Kaido's losing here. There's no way the fight ends here. But I do want to address these cases, right? The first thing that I want to talk about is people, they tend to have an issue with the way that we've gotten to this point. They still don't feel like Luffy has solidified himself in the Yonko caliber. But to be honest, I highly disagree with that, right? One of the first issues that people bring up when talking about this is that this hasn't really been like a true 1v1. People think Luffy's going to prove himself Yonko status after this fight because Kaido's being ganged up on. But there is 2 factors that we can talk about this fight, right? Kaido has had more opponents than Luffy throughout Onigashima, but Luffy has had quite a bit of fights. You see Luffy when he arrives at the rooftop, and he already has a couple of scratches, a little bit banged up and dirty, right? Nothing serious at all, but Luffy has sustained damage entering this fight versus Kaido. Kaido looks perfectly fine. We do see him take damage, but my one issue with Oda, with Kaido, is that we see him taking damage, but then in the next panel he has like no scratches whatsoever, right? We only started seeing damage with Kaido after the 1v1 with Luffy, right? But my point is, Luffy and Kaido both came into this fight having damage sustained. Luffy fought against fodder, Luffy fought against numbers, Luffy fought against ulti, Luffy took a hit from a pool. We saw multiple cases of Luffy fighting throughout the raid before he got to the rooftop. Same with Kaido. Kaido fought with the Scabbards. Kaido then had to fight with against the Supernovas, but that was teamed up with Big Mom. And then afterwards, he had to deal with Yamato and then Luffy again, right? But people, here's my big issue with this, right? People will have no issue saying that Kaido just tanked everything and took no damage. The Scabbards did nothing to them. The Supernovas did nothing to him. People have no issue saying that. But then when we have to say that Luffy is fighting 1v1 with Kaido, people will turn back on that. They'll double back and go like, oh, but Kaido took damage before, right? And I don't see that being logical. We say that Kaido didn't take any damage in all these fights, but when we have to say Luffy's fighting 1v1, just, neck and neck with Kaido, we say that Kaido was handicapped. And I don't agree with that in the slightest. The next issue that I want to talk about this fight is the Wano arc has been going on for too long, right? And this is just talking from a writing perspective. I don't think that Oda is going to prolong this arc too much. That's my big issue with this fight having another round. And I think this is my biggest case for it. Because honestly, we all know that Kaido has to go down this arc. I do see a very slim possibility of this fight not ending with a clear winner and Kaido acknowledging Luffy and just kind of siding with him to a certain degree. But I think that's like the least likely scenario. I do see it as a possible scenario, but I think it's the least likely. But if Kaido were to win again against Luffy, like knock him out once more, then have something stall for time and have Luffy get back up again and fight against Kaido again, I feel like that removes tension from the story, and I feel like it's pointless. We've already had Kaido defeat Luffy a number of times. Just to have that happen again, as a reader, that's not going to get the tension rising for me. That's not going to set a grim mood. That's just going to be repetitive. We've already had Kaido state that Luffy has lost twice. We've seen people react to Luffy's loss twice. And having Luffy come back up for a third time and having Kaido say that he defeated him for a third time, as a reader, I'm just going to read that and I'm going to go like, okay, just get it over with. Get back up again, right? I'm not going to feel any tension. So I feel like it would harm the story more than it would. People are looking forward to this not because of the tension. This is my personal belief, but I feel like people are looking forward to it just because they want to be right, either about the rate failing or about this fight being longer than it has to be or about Luffy not getting ready. I feel like this is where most people lean towards without knowing. I don't think it's intentional, but I think this is the main reason why people want this to happen. Not because they don't feel like Luffy's ready, but just because they want to be right. But to be honest, from a writing perspective, it's just a repetitive cycle over and over again, and we have to stop at some point. And I think after mastering Rio, after gaining Advanced Conqueror's Haki, and after having his awakening, I don't really see any reason why we have to do this again and again and again, right? And then just going to talk about the recent chapter. Why I'm making this video in the first place is because after chapter 1047, which by the way, I haven't uploaded a review in 1046 or 1047, which is about a whole month, but that's because I've been just swamped with work in college. This YouTube channel is new. I'm still trying to figure out like my time pace, but don't worry, after 1048, I'm going to drop a review on all 3 chapters all together at once. But getting back on topic, right? The very last page of chapter 1047, we see Luffy do this absolutely massive punch the size of Onigashima, and people still don't think that Kaido's going to lose to this. And the biggest argument for this is not the argument that everyone has used, but it's the argument that 95% of you guys have used. And the biggest argument for this is because Oda stated in an SBS that he knows that readers aren't going to be satisfied if Luffy just defeats Kaido with a strong punch, right? But that's the issue. This isn't just a strong punch. Just going back, right, we need to look more into this statement. I don't think Kaido is being literal because Luffy is a physical fighter. What Oda is talking about here, in my personal opinion, I could be wrong, but I think this is just Oda saying that narratively speaking, he can't just have Luffy win by just getting stronger mid-fight like he always has, in the sense of like, oh, I'm just going to surpass my limits, right? I don't think that that's going to be enough because against Lucci, or Lucy, however you want to pronounce it, yes, Luffy broke out Gear 3rd. He had showcased Gear 2nd afterwards, but after showcasing Gear 3rd, that wasn't enough. And Luffy had to just overcome his own physical exhaustion to be able to surpass this. We see the same with Crocodile. After learning how to hit Crocodile, Luffy still couldn't beat him, and he had to surpass his own limits. And we see this time and time again. I think that's what Oda's referring to. Not that Luffy can't beat Kaido with a punch, because at the end of the day, he's a physical brawler. That's what he is. That's how he's going to win every fight. Is there going to be technicalities to the punches? Yes, 100%, like we're seeing right now. But Luffy isn't going to bust out mid-fight and throw a Kamehameha. That's not One Piece. That's not Luffy specifically. But right now we have a punch that is the size of an entire island, coated in armament haki, coated in Advanced Conqueror's haki, and coated in Rio. Keep in mind that one small punch coated in Conqueror's haki was enough, clashing with Kaido's Conqueror's Haki to split the sky. It was after Luffy just in base form was using Conqueror's Haki that he was damaging Kaido. Now we're seeing Luffy go out with a punch, I repeat again, the size of Onigashima. And even though Gear 3rd didn't look as flashy, even though we're used to big punches, if there's something that Oda has nailed time and time and time again throughout the series, is that gigantification matters in One Piece. Gigantification does increase your damage output. So we have Luffy Awakened, which in chapter 1044, I believe it was, or 1040, I think it was chapter 1044, where the Gorosei are talking about the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika, how they're saying that once the user awakens, their physical capabilities are upgraded, right? So we know that Luffy's stronger just because of the awakening. We know that Luffy is stronger because of the Ryo. We know that Luffy's stronger because of the Conqueror's Haki. And then the gigantification on top. And it's not just a giant fist like we've seen him do before. This is unlike anything we've seen from Luffy, right? And we know that the King Kong gun, that was enough to slam Doflamingo and decimate almost an entire country. Really start comparing the two and really try to analyze, is this just a strong punch? No, this is significantly more than that. And we already have the setup for the lanterns to come in for the people of Wano to see Kaido being defeated. To be honest, again, I can see it going either ways. I do think this is the final stretch. I do think that there's a possibility that Kaido withstands this, but I don't think that there is any chance. Well, okay, not any chance, I'm sorry. I think that Luffy being defeated and getting back up, I think that is a smaller chance compared to Luffy winning in just this stretch, like in this exchange of blows that's about to begin. Because honestly, this is, right now, I think this is pretty much as intense as it can get, as powered up as Luffy can get. And again, I do not consider this a normal punch in any way, shape, or form, right? And I do get that people think that Luffy needs to grow, that Luffy isn't Yonko caliber right now. But one thing that I want to bring the attention to is I've always talked about how One Piece is much shorter than you think. And I'm just talking about the timetable, right? Because at the beginning of the battle, the gap between Luffy and Kaido was astronomical. And Luffy has closed that gap. And people think he still hasn't gotten there, that we need more. But I want to remind people, at the pacing at which characters grow in One Piece, there's a very handy timetable made by Arthur, who's also known as the Library of Ohara, because there's two Arthurs that go by Ohara, right? They're both YouTubers, but I'm talking about the Library of Ohara. This man has done incredible research in One Piece, and in his website, libraryofohara.com, I'm going to drop a link in the description, he has this incredible timetable in which he shows us the time periods for One Piece, right? And we see how immensely fast characters grow in the world of One Piece, time period wise, right? From the beginning of Luffy's adventure to the time skip, that's 3 months. That's 3 months from the Luffy that had somewhat of a small issue with Arlong to the Luffy that had defeated multiple warlords, right? This is the Luffy and Marineford, and the Luffy that left, I think it's called Dawn Island, if I'm not mistaken. There's 3 months in between those two Luffys. There's about 2 months between Enies Lobby Luffy and the Luffy that was fighting against Captain Kuro, right? So keep in mind, like, after the time skip, Luffy in Sabaody Archipelago, the Luffy that was one-shotting pacifistas, but, could have gotten bested and outwitted by Caesar, the Luffy that had a high-diff fight against Doflamingo, and the Luffy that we're seeing right now, yes, it's been about 6 years for us readers, 7, but it's been about, I think between Dressrosa and Wano, like current events in Wano, I believe it's been about 5, maybe 6 weeks, right? So, we can see that growth happens very fast in One Piece. And Luffy closing the gap on an enemy. Yes, the Yonko, we've put the Yonko on a pedestal, and with good reason, because Oda put the Yonko on a pedestal. but Luffy needs to get to this point. He needs to get to this point in this fight, not afterwards, not during the fight versus Big Mom or anything like that. This needs to happen now, and I do believe that Luffy is already Yonko caliber. I do believe that he's cemented himself there. Yes, they are high diff fights, but I don't think Luffy needs to prove himself with a 1v1 against Big Mom or against Blackbeard or against, just to spar with Shanks or whatever you want to call it. I do think that Luffy is already in this tier, and this fight is going to be much shorter than people are anticipating it to be. Again, I can picture another round, but I don't think that's a likely scenario, just considering the narrative, considering the storytelling, the time that we have, and the growth that Luffy's had up until this point following Oda's pattern. I do think that there's a very good and very real chance that this is the end of the fight. If you do like the video, drop a like, drop a comment, and make like Gear 5 Luffy and turn that subscribe button from red to colorless. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.